entrepreneur working as a freelancer, trainer, as well as therapist. She was an exclusive licensed facilitator for Susan Jeffers' Feel the Field and Do It Anyway workshops in India for 2 years. She's also an authorized facilitator at ECA for self hypnosis and theory of mind. She's a certified NLP trainer as well as a practitioner, metaphor therapist, radical healer, past life regression therapist, hypnotherapist, and master trainer. Ms. Bandana has subject matter expertise with respect to training for programs such as assertive communication and behavior, access body processes for different health problems, both physical and mental, goal setting and accomplishing by focusing on actions, past life regression therapies, personality grooming and positive attitude, emotional empowerment therapy, and various other programs among them. She has successfully completed open workshops in 25 cities in India in person and also conducted online webinars and training across the globe. She has been training students for soft skills in educational institutions and has trained more than 8,000 people of different ages and also have done many effective one-to-one healing sessions with people across the country. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. That was quite an elaborate introduction. uh, uh, Thank you, Adira, and thank you, Bhagyalakshmi, for inviting me here.
Thank
And
you,
It's a
ma'am.
pleasure.
cool. So I want to ask something because I'm new to Google Meet. Uh, how could I share my presentation here?
Uh,
Um,
Ma'am, there will be an option to share your screen. Like below, there would be an option.
in
There's
the
a rectangle and an arrow in your screen,
Yeah,
like with the mic, video, caption.
right.
Yeah. So there, if you click that, you have an option of share your screen.
This. Okay, let me check it.
Sure, ma'am.
Ma'am, just a second before that, we have an introduction, formal introduction for HOD Sir too. We'll proceed with that and then we can start with it.
Sure, we can do that.
Thank you, ma'am. Adira.
Okay. Now, I would like to Now I would like to introduce our Head of Department of Human Resource Management, DG Vaishnav College, Dr. N.C. Martin. He is a highly experienced academician and has about 24 years of academic and administrative experience as professor, head of department, dean, and registrar. He did his postgraduate in labor management and PhD in labor laws from Tamil Nadu Institute of Labor Studies. He started his career as a lecturer from the same institutions. He held various positions in the arts and science colleges, engineering, and media college. He held academic positions in various educational institutions such as Sri Chandraprabhu Jain College as an assistant professor and head of department of MSW, Sam's College of Engineering and Technology as a professor and head of department of MBA. He was also the placement officer for entire division of Sam's College of Engineering and Technology. During his tenure, he successfully placed engineering and management graduates in top-notch companies of manufacturing and service sectors across the country. He continued his career in St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science as the Dean of Academics and L.V. Prasad Film School, one of the best film schools in Asia, worked as a registrar. He acted as a jury representing the Employees Federation of Southern India for the selection of companies for the best practice of the year 2018-19. He has added a number of research papers and publications to his credit, and he is expert in the subject of labor legislation and industrial relations. He has given the Centrum results in various HR specialized subjects in the University of Examinations. We welcome you, sir. This meeting is recorded for educational purposes. In case of any doubts or questions, the participants can unmute themselves or type the questions in the chat box. Now, I request Dr. N.C. Martin to speak a few words about the topic for the day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. So
Thank you, sir.
very happy today to one all present here. So on behalf of management, for Secretary Sri Ashok Kumar Mundraji, our Principal Dr. S. Santosh Babu, I welcome all the participants, the students, the professors, HR fraternities, and my special welcome to our resource person of the day, Ms. Vandana Janwar.
Thank you.
Ma'am, this is our 74th series of webinar. So start from the last pandemic, and we are able to progress in a very positive way because of all the support and in coordination with the students coordinator, student and faculty coordinator. So we're able to attain such a feat of crossing 73rd, and today is the 74th series of. And even with all the support from what we had from industry and as like people, no. So whenever we used to invite, so they used to come, even sharing their all important work, and they used to share their knowledge to our students. So in that
Yeah.
way, I'm really thankful to all the people who have been really supporting towards conducting such a number of webinars to our students. So coming to the topic, the goal setting. So the goal setting, I can say it involves the development of an action plan. So it has been designed in order to motivate as well as to guide any person, or we can say a group of persons towards attaining the goal. In a real sense, we can say the goal setting means that an individual is committed to their emotions and as well as the behavior towards attaining goal. So it is a process. So that starts with a careful consideration of what we want to achieve, and also it concludes in terms of putting our hard effort to attain the goal. So whatever the goal we fixed. So we can say it is a very powerful process for thinking about one's ideal future, and also it helps us to motivate to to our vision as well as in order to make it as a real one. So the process of goal setting, it helps us to choose where we want to go in our life.
Right.
In the workplace goal setting, so it will help to keep the employees motivated and also very focused. And this process will go on in continuously until we attain the goal. So in the workplace, so this goal setting will vary from attaining the individual goals like attaining the professional growth and attaining their successful career and so on. But the important factor to be considered is for every goal, so we should set a vision as well as the purpose. That is the purpose also. So the workplace goals, and while fixing it, we understand it should be a realistic one, and it should focus on making the improvements. And while setting it, it should be very specific and measurable, as well as it should be time specific. That is when we are going to achieve. So having goals for ourselves is very important, and for that we have to devise a strategy to attain it. It is very important for everyone. So the path towards our goal may not always, we cannot expect that it will run very smoothly or it will not be easy. But everyone should have the goals. So the goal may be a smaller one or a bigger one, whatever it is. So when we set a goal, so that makes our life to be very good and interesting, and also it will be very meaningful. So it will give us a sense of purpose and also the meaning. So it will guide to move in which direction we want to go, and also it will make us to be very engaged, and also we feel very excited and feel good. So this goal setting over 2000 years ago. So the Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher, so he has said, "Well begun is often." So paying attention to how we set our goals, so makes us more like to achieve them, and achieving them makes us feel good about ourselves, and our life will be very will be made very interesting. So with this, I conclude and leave the session to a resource person to throw much light and inputs on this goal setting topic. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. And yeah, as you rightly said, well begun is half done. I totally agree that whenever we start something and we start it with excitement and enthusiasm, uh, And it sets the tone of the whole goal that we are trying to achieve in a very accelerated way. Like, for example, when you're driving, you first are at neutral gear, and then you come to first gear, and then second, third, quickly. And then as soon as you come to a little regular pace, you can easily move to the fourth and fifth gear, and then you can carry forward. And then there are brakes in a car, right? Why do we need brakes? Can any of you, like, I don't know if this is going to be interactive or not, but I like interactive webinars. However, just because it's a huge group, I'll just share a little bit. So why we need brakes in a car is not to stop the momentum, it is to keep the momentum going. So that whenever we see some obstacle in the path, we can just pause using the brake, and then we again can speed up and continue the momentum of the speed, right? That is why we need brakes. And similarly, in life, when we set goals, we do have brakes. And that is only to pause and then get back, get on, start again. So what happens, what's the biggest problem that people face with goal setting? Usually people set goals, they start working, and then they leave it in between. And then most of the times they feel that, oh, there's no point in setting goals. I set goals and then I don't do it, and I procrastinate, or this happens and that happens, and then I'm not doing it. And so why set goals? Leave it. That's the whole, the way students look at it, right? Even I was a student one day, and I also looked at it the same way. I used to think, oh, no point in setting goals. It's anyway, I'm not going to do it. Okay. So most of the times, that's how we operate, that there's no point in doing all this. The few people, there was this study in the Harvard that said that out of the, say, for example, if there are 100 people in the college, when they did a survey, 50%, 30%, and beyond, the only 10% who were super achievers were the ones who had very specific, clear goals, who had written goals, and they set on the path without any deviation into achieving their goals. Okay. So that is the power of setting goals, writing goals, and working towards achieving our goals. I myself, until 10 years back, I didn't know like what goal setting is and how, maybe 10 or maybe 12 years back. And I didn't have any written goals or anything. But then when I learned this and I started training people to set goals, believe you me, if I would have written 100 things, I've done 95 out of them in the 10 years. And that's the beauty of, like, when you write down goals with the date mentioned, when you look back at the date, oh, this day I wrote this, today I've already done it, I've already achieved it. It really makes you feel very proud about yourself. You don't need somebody else to motivate you, then you're motivated by your own journey. And that's a beauty of, setting goals. So I would like to, present my screen. I think would you have to give me permission for that, or because
No, ma'am, you'll be able to present it.
it's not showing?
You have to click on the screen once and then you have to press the share button.
I did that. Okay, here, got it.
Yes, ma'am, the screen is visible now.
Yeah, I got it. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. And my voice is audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Thank you. So, yeah, goals. Like, how many of you have actually ever written goals? I mean, I can't see you guys, but just ask yourself that have you ever taken the time out to write down goals? Okay. Writing goals is a very, very beautiful activity. And if you all have pen and paper with you, or notebook with you, I would recommend you to write it today. Okay. And even if you have to edit it later, you can edit it later. But for now, bring a notebook and a pen. I just give you a minute. uh, you know get a notebook, pen, and follow what I'm saying. So why do we set goals? What is the purpose of setting goals? And these are very like tried, tested, guaranteed formulas. And like I've taught it to thousands of students, and they have set goals and they have achieved goals. They come back to me and tell me, ma'am, I achieved this, I did that. And it gives me such a wonderful, feeling of being a catalyst to change. And that is one of my goals, like to reach out to as many students like I can, and show them the importance of taking charge of your life. What is the first thing why you have to set goals? You take control of your life, in the sense you're not just driven by an external environment, or just because people want you to do something you're doing it. But when you set goals for yourself, you're doing it because you want to do it. Okay. Now, when you set a goal which is dear to you, then your automatic focus shifts to that area of your life, and you focus on the important things that are required for you to achieve your goal. Again, you will make good decisions. Why? Because whenever we are indecisive, it's only when we are not clear about what we want in our life. But when we are clear and we have written a goal, then we naturally align our decisions towards the goal that we want to achieve. And then we can finish our tasks efficiently because we are more focused and we are more in charge. You're self confident, enthusiastic, you will make progress, and success is like a regular thing for you. Okay. Now, this is very important to understand. All of us say that we have to set goals and everything, but how do you set goals? It's important to understand your own personal values and mission statement. So maybe you're too young to have a mission statement, or maybe you have it. I don't know. But personal values, for example, I know it's a very trivial thing. Say, for example, if you're a Jain and if you're a vegetarian, and if you set a goal of opening, you know, a multi-cuisine restaurant, and then over there every day when some non-vegetarian food is being cooked, it doesn't, go coincide with your personal values because you're a vegetarian. And so that goal will be difficult for you not only to achieve, but also to carry forward for a very long time. Someday or the other, you'll get disgusted. Okay. Another example, say your personal values are to be very honest. I mean, if your father and your mother or your grandfather are people who have been very ethical, very honest, okay, and then you get into, you set a goal to, say, become an honest politician, but you see like 90% of them are not honest enough and are not, in integrity with what you think are your personal values, then the whole thing becomes very difficult. The journey becomes difficult. On the other side of it, for example, I was working with HR, okay, and I was into recruitment, right? And I did recruitment with 90 different companies. But my personal values with ethics were very strong, that I'm going to be very ethical in my work. There came a time when I became like very well known in my field. And then there was this one person who was in the HR of a company who asked me for a bribe for giving me bigger positions, for example, positions of, general manager, VP, etc., etc. He said, okay, now this is a big position, so you get a good, money amount from our company. You have to give me this much percentage. Now, the moment that came to me, I couldn't sleep for a week because it was clashing with my personal values. I wrote to that person that, see, I'm not going to do that. And you give me work or you don't give me work doesn't matter, but I'm not going to give bribe. And then later on, a lot of people told me, but all this is part of the game. And if you're into HR, there will be, if you're into recruitment, there will be people who'll ask for commission, etc., etc. And so many people said, oh, but Bandana, if you want to do business, you have to do all these things. So I was quite, it was clashing with my personal values and my, in a way, mission statement of being ethical in everything I do. And then slowly, gradually, I started losing interest because every time I used to think, oh, I'm getting work not for my caliber, but because they want a bribe from me. And then slowly, it was very difficult for me to continue that conversation with the client. And I lost interest and I closed my recruitment firm. And then I was wondering, can there ever be something where you can be ethical and you can still continue your job? And like almost to 80% of the people I talk to, they'll say, no, no, no. If you do business, you have to be a little bit of corrupt and little bit of bribe, blah, blah, blah. All that. It's like, it's a part of doing business. And then I learned how to train people. And I set goals that I want to become a professional trainer. And when I be a trainer and a freelancer trainer for that matter, then I don't have to please anybody. I'm not, I'm on my own. And I work, for children. I love children. I love students. I love to talk about what I have learned from life. So when I set goals that, okay, I would like to become a professional trainer in 2 years. And then I started upgrading my skills. I started learning courses, train the trainer program, corporate training, this, that. And then there was one point I realized corporate training is again, it involves a little bit of that, which I do not want to do. And then I changed my direction to only training students because it's very beautiful between me and students in colleges. And colleges are also quite ethical in their endeavors because they want students to progress. And I also want students to progress. So my personal values and my mission statement is being taken care of in a goal that I set of becoming a trainer. So this is how, when you identify your personal values and your mission statement, setting goals becomes a lot more easier. And then figure out the goals you want to achieve. So now in becoming a trainer, what do I want to achieve? Do I want to reach out to 10,000 children? Do I want to, just be in one city and do in one college the training? Or do I want to reach out to the globe by doing online training? So there can be different things even in training. So that is up to me what I want to achieve. So figure out the goals you want to achieve. Write your goals down. I had written in 2010 October that by 2012 December, I'm going to become a professional trainer. And I did become. Okay, so writing goals down is a brilliant strategy to follow if you really want to achieve your goals. And then list the skills and knowledge required to reach your goal. So simply writing is not enough, right? If I want to become a trainer, I have to have some skills. My communication skills must be good. I must have some knowledge about my field, right? So I have to list down what are the skills required for me to become a trainer? What is the knowledge that I require to reach my goal? And then develop a personal action plan. Personal action plan means what am I going to do on a daily basis? Say reading books, say talking to other trainers, say going and attending training of other people. For example, listening, like how Mr. Martin was talking, listening to what he is talking. So being a good listener, going and attending training programs, reading books of self-help, and so many other things. These were my personal action plan. And then reviewing progress. Okay, so today if I write a goal, in a month's time I should see, okay, how many things I have done in alignment with what I want to achieve. And then, okay, in a month, if I didn't do much, 20 days I wasted, only 10 days I worked, I read a book or, I did something about it. Then, okay, next month, what must I change, right? Like that, review your progress and update your goals and update your action plan also. And yes, celebrate your success is whenever you achieve something, it's very important to celebrate. And just like Mr. Martin said in the beginning, the goals must be specific. Does it target a specific area for improvement? For example, if your goal is to lose weight, so the specific area for improvement is your fitness, your health, right? Then is it measurable? So for example, if your current weight is say 80 kgs and you want to go to say 70 kgs, so it is measurable. Okay, 10 kgs I want to reduce. Achievable? Yes. Is it reachable? Yes, it is. Realistic? It is realistic. I'm just asking for from 80 to 70. But if I'm a 150 kgs and I'm saying I want to become 30 kgs, that would not be realistic in the beginning, right? And then time related. So when would you achieve it by? So for example, if I want to reduce 10 kgs and I spoke to somebody who has a exercise plan, who has a diet plan, and who tells me that, okay, if you do this, 3 times a week you exercise, you follow this diet, maybe you cut off sugar, and etc., etc. And within 3 months, maybe you can do this, or 6 months you can do this. So there is a time related target here. So your goals are smart when they are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So now comes your turn to write down your short-term goal. Why am I starting with short-term goals? Long-term goals we can achieve when we achieve short-term goals. So if I want to achieve something in 2 years, if I break it down to in 3 months, first quarter what I want to do, second quarter what I want to do, third quarter what I want to do, fourth quarter what I want to do. So that is how in 1 year I'll be halfway or maybe 3/4 way. And then what I wanted to do in 2 years, maybe I just do it in 1.25 years. If I break it down to short-term goals and I achieve every short-term goal I've written, if not every, out of 3, at least if I'm able to do one thing in the first 3 months, and in the second 3 months, if I come to doing 2 things, most likely by the third 3 months, I'll do all 3 things that I've written. Okay. So now I want you all to take your notebooks, write your name, write the date of today. So today is 25th November, isn't it? So just write 25th November 2021 and write down this question in your notebook. If you're not immediately having any goal in your mind, doesn't matter, but please write down this question. What do you want in the next 3 months? In the next 3 months, it can be academic goals, like if you want to achieve a certain percentage in your college, or if you want to do certain CSR activities, right? Social activities. Like for example, you've done 73 webinars and this is the 74th. So in 3 months, if you want to make it 100 or anything, okay? So what do you want in the next 3 months? It can be professional goal, academic goals, it can be personal goals, it can be health related goals. It can be even relationship related goals. For example, if I have a bad relationship with my mother or my father, how would I like to change that? How can I be in more harmony with my mom or my dad or my teacher or my even lover for that matter? Okay. So A, B, C, 3 goals write down. And the first question is, what do you want in the next 3 months? And when you're writing the date of 25th November, on another side of the page, write 3 months later, 25th, so December, Jan, February, so 25th February 2022. From 25th November to 25th February 2022, what do I want in the next 3 months? That you have to note down and write A, B, C. Write down 3 goals. If you can write it now, great. Otherwise, take your time and write it later. Okay? Once you finish writing 3 goals, you come to the next step, step 2. How can I achieve what I want in the next 3 months? Okay. Now, if you have written academic goals, for example, if you have 5 subjects and you want to achieve, say, 90%, okay? So then, how much time you can devote to each subject, or how much time you want to devote to the subject you're very good at, some subject that you're not good at, whom can you sit with and study, what kind of group study can you do, what kind of help you can take from your lecturers, what kind of books can you refer in the library, so, or what can you read on the internet about the subject that you want to gain good marks in. So this is how can I achieve what I want. This is with regards to academics. If it is not academics, so for example, if you want to become a recruitment consultant in the next 3 months apart while doing your studies, then whom can I approach for being an intern? Where and all can I give my applications? What kind of portfolio shall I make? What kind of resume will get me an internship quickly? If I don't know, whom can I approach and find out how to make a resume? And can I, consult with people who are already into recruitment and talk to them and find out that, okay, what does it take for becoming a recruitment consultant? And what are the skills that I require? What kind of skills should I develop? Now, these are the things, what knowledge do I require? All of that you ask and you write down in how can I achieve what I want in the next 3 months. So we had a question, what do I wish to achieve in the next 3 months? Second question, how can I achieve what I want in the next 3 months? Again, ABC will be corresponding to your answer in step 1 ABC. If your A goal was related to academics, then the A answer here would be related to that. If your B goal was related to health, then your B answer here will be related to that. Similarly, C corresponding to C. That's the second question. Third, now when we are writing what I wish to achieve, how can I achieve? I know how can I achieve it. But what are my limitations? What blocks me from achieving that? For example, if you're writing an academic goal, your limitation can be maybe you're too much into video games, or you have, maybe you're very lazy, okay, not so interested. Now, if these are the things, how can I become more physically active? Now, you have to ask more questions about what are my limitations. For example, in a college when I was teaching, this boy came and said that if I wake up 1 hour early, then I know I can achieve my academic grades. But the thing is, I don't wake up. I just wake up just before college, 5 minutes before college, which is, I think, most of the students. So I said, okay, if you directly set a goal of I have to wake up 1 hour early every day, maybe you will not. But what if we break it into, okay, from tomorrow onwards, I'll wake up 20 minutes before. And then maybe next week, another 20 minutes before. And then the third week, another 20 minutes before. And in a month time, you'll be habituated to wake up 1 hour earlier. So sometimes we have to break them down into small, small things that we can do. For example, when you fix a diet for your health and you feel that, oh my God, I can't give away sugar forever. Okay, fine. So if you're eating, say, 5 candies a day, then you can break it down to maybe 2 a day, like that. Okay. So what are my limitations? You're going to write your limitations that maybe I am lazy, or I don't wake up on time, or I don't do physical activity, or I actually don't attend college regularly, or I'm not very serious about what I'm studying. It can be anything, right? What are my limitations corresponding to ABC? Please write down the question, and later on you can sit and write on this. One day when I was writing my goals to become a professional trainer, one of my limitation was I don't have enough money, because to do these courses that I studied, they were quite expensive. Like there was one course that I did which was 50,000 just for a week, NLP. So it was like, wow, I don't have enough money. So that was one of the things that I wrote. But then, yes, I did overcome all those limitations. So that's why I'm telling, when you write them down, it becomes much more clearer as to what our limitations are. And then the step 4, how can I overcome my limitations? So if it is lack of money, then I can start setting aside money every day, some amount of money, so that in 3 months, I want to do this course of 50,000, like that. Okay. Or, uh, how can I overcome my limitations? If I'm not waking up early, I can tell my mom, my roommate, my classmate, or somebody to call me up every day at a certain time. And then if I don't get up, make sure that you keep calling me, like that. These are things we can take help. There's a term called growth buddy. So you can have growth buddies who with whom you can share your goals, you can share your limitations, you can share all these questions. And then in overcoming limitations, you can make this growth buddy of yours remind you that, see, today you didn't go to gym, or today you ate extra sugar. Not from a critical perspective, just as a reminder, because, oh, we are growth buddies, we are going to do this together. How much fun it becomes when, oh, every day we both will go for walk together. Every day, let's sit and do group study. Or every day you call me up to, wake me up. And in the night, one of us can remind each other that it's time to sleep, let us sleep so that we can wake up early. So these are the things you can do. And then you can involve your teachers, your mentors, you can involve your parents, friends, anybody. And books. Books are also a great way to learn to overcome your limitations. Similar books which can give you the knowledge how to overcome what is not working for you. So step 4 is, how can I overcome my limitations? A, B, C. Believe you me, if you write all these things, you will be able to achieve your goals. Definitely at least one of the things you will do in 3 months. And that would be great. Okay. It'll just give you the self-confidence required to take the next step. So after step 4, we have step 5. So what is the step 5? What do you do when you achieve 1 or 2 or all 3 goals in the given time frame? So 1 is always keep rewards for yourself. When my daughter was very small, and when I learned this whole goal setting and everything, I started experimenting with her. She was hardly maybe in the 4th or 5th grade. I told her, okay, fine. So she loved to read comics. Okay. So I would tell her that if you do your homework every day at this time for the next 3 months, at the end of every month, I will get you a new comic. Okay. Apart from rewards, I would also keep punishments, in the sense, so if you don't do the homework in 1 month regularly, at least 20 days in a month, then you don't get that comic book. And whatever comic book you have, which you're going to read, I'm going to keep it aside. That will be your punishment. And sometimes it can be as simple as, because they were kids, it was as simple as, okay, fine, every weekend we eat a Maggie. If you do this in this week. Okay. So children, you can break it down to small, small things. So rewards, it's so, it's so much fun when you get gifts, right? So setting yourself a reward for achieving 1 goal or 2 goals or 3 goals. Then after that, it's about upgrading. For example, oh, I achieved 1 goal, but I couldn't achieve the 2nd or the 3rd. So let me upgrade my new goals with the part of which I haven't achieved, and something to add to these next 3 months, which will help me achieve that. So upgrading with a change of strategy. So if this month I tried something, it didn't work, then I got to change my strategy. They say if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll only get what you're getting, right? So you have to change your strategy to get something different. And then celebrate. Why is it important to celebrate? Whenever I used to achieve any goal which I've written for 3 months, I will buy myself a new dress. Okay? Hello? Cool. So I would always buy myself a new dress when I achieve one goal. Okay? And in every 3 months, what happens whenever I look at my wardrobe? I don't see dresses hanging there. I see achievements hanging there. And very soon my wardrobe was filled with achievements. And that motivated me to the next goal and the next action. And then long-term goals. After you finish writing your short-term goals, you can write one long-term goal or two long-term goals. What do I wish to have and become in the next 2 years? That you can give it a little thought and then write it. Your short-term and long-term goals must be in alignment with each other. Okay? So that's long-term goals. So thank you for listening. And yeah, so this is my phone number, my mail ID. If you all have any doubts, queries, you can always get in touch with me. I'm happy to help.
Guys, if you have any doubt, you can put it in the chat box or ask her directly.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, this is Fasman from First MHRM.
One second, I'm coming back. Yeah, tell me.
Yes, ma'am. So when you said goals,
Yeah.
you were talking about like how we should celebrate goals, like when you achieve them and all of that. There are a few goals like whatever you do, you will not be able to reach, or at the moment, like if it's like let's say, we'll not be able to reach in that time frame.
Hmm.
How do you deal with the failure, like on the other side?
Okay. So first thing is, when we say writing down SMART goals, it means realistic goals, measurable, time bound, achievable, right? And at the same time, if you write something which is completely unachievable, then what happens is you feel like a failure. But if it is something that you can do, it may take a little extra time, but you can do, then it's not called failure. It's only delay. Delays are not denials. Okay. And how to deal with, when you're saying deal with failure, I'll tell you how to deal with it. By recognizing that no choice is a wrong choice. Okay. If plan A didn't work, there is a plan B. And for example, I'll tell you, like, so when my daughter was preparing for NID, National Institute of Design, okay, she took a drop for 1 year and she studied very hard. She went to coaching, everything. And then just by 0.2 percentile, she couldn't get NID Ahmedabad. Okay. Obviously, she was disappointed and very upset and everything. But at the same time, of course, she had given other entrance exams, right? And then we used to have conversations about that. Okay, fine, you did your best. We couldn't get through NID. Never mind. There's this one line which I read in books, which says, if not this, something bigger and better. So, I always tell myself that if not this, something bigger and better. And then now it is in my hands to do what I can do better and bigger than what I couldn't get. So then when she got Symbiosis, she did her animation film design and she's enjoying doing animation and she's doing fantastic. Now she's working already for 1 year more than 1 year. She's working in a startup company. Okay. Similarly, my son studied interior design, and then after that he worked as in architecture field, and then he felt after 4 years that I'm not in the field of architecture. The payment, the salary is not good enough to achieve what he wants to do in a bigger picture, like say 10 years down the lane. So he saved money from his jobs, and then he's funding his own post graduation, and he's studying in Georgia Tech Atlanta. Okay, from a person who was completely fearful of even stepping out of house at one given point of time. Okay, so these are things which you have to, while you're at it, you will learn, and you should be willing to take help. You should be willing to talk about it. Whatever we hide, we cannot change. So when we are feeling fearful of failure, simply the mere acknowledgement, hey, you know what, I'm feeling fearful, just saying that almost releases the fear, and it almost makes it okay, fine, yeah, it's okay to be fearful, because you're not the only one who's fearful. If you talk to 100 people, all 100 people will have some kind of fear of you. So failures are nothing but stepping stones to success. And this is not theoretical. Like, I have done a lot of things which I was very fearful of, but then I did it. And when I did it, it was done. Like, fine. Now I'm no more fearful. It's about acknowledging that I'm fearful. And it's about being okay to be fearful also.
Ma'am, you said it very beautifully. Thank you so much for a wonderful session.
You're welcome.
Ma'am,
Any
there's
other
a question in the chat box. Should I read it out to you, or?
Yeah, sure. What should someone do if they don't meet their goal in a stipulated time frame? Nothing, no problem. See, if you don't finish it in a stipulated time frame, I would only suggest change of strategy. Okay. First of all, change of strategy, and also a little more knowledge about did I give the right time frame when I was writing my goals down. For example, if I said I want to become a professional trainer in 2 years, that was a right amount of time I wrote. But if I would have written at that time when I was a housewife and I didn't ever know how to speak in public, and if I have a fear of public speaking, at that time, if I write that within 1 month I want to become a professional trainer, that might be too much to handle. Okay. So sometimes you have to see, okay, the goals that I have written, am I writing it with, with the thing in mind that, do I have those skills required? Do I have the resources required? Although all the resources are within you, but still you sometimes need external resources as well. So you have to analyze that whole thing. And there's this SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? And what are my threats? When you make a note of those, then it becomes easier to change your strategy and, rewrite the goals, rewrite the time frame also. And one more thing, never judge yourself. Okay, don't judge yourself means don't label yourself as a failure. Judging from a perspective of a feedback is different. That, okay, I'm giving myself the feedback, I could have done this in this way. Okay, then it is okay. But if I judge myself, oh, I'm good for nothing, I'll never be able to make it, then that is a label that I'm sticking on my head, and it will stay with me. And how can a person stay motivated all the time while achieving the goal? Well, I told you, right? Growth buddies. Make growth buddies. Keep a friend of yours and okay, together let's do this. They will achieve their goal, you will achieve your goal. But, make a thing that let's remind each other. Let's let's keep anchors. Okay, sometimes some songs, sometimes some some motivational song which is very dear to you. You can listen to that song again and again. And I have these, music, film songs, some books that I read, some quotes that I read. There was one quote I can share with all of you, which is, I wrote it long back from a book, I wrote it in my diary, that if you do one thing every day that you do not like to do, okay? If you do one thing every day that you do not like to do, it's a golden rule for acquiring the habit of doing your duty without pain. If you do one thing that you do not like to do every day, it's a golden rule for acquiring the habit of doing your duties without pain. And trust me, when I wrote that, every day I used to sit and do one thing that I don't like to do. Absolutely. If my mom tells do stitching, I'll be like, no, I don't want to do. But then I'll be like, okay, I'll do one thing that I don't want to do. And then I will do that. And slowly, there were many things which I didn't like to do, but I would be able to do it very effortlessly. That just becomes a habit. Yeah. And does reward always have an influence in setting goals? And will it change the impact of performance towards? No, I mean, when I say reward, it's not like a bribe. It's like small, simple things. For example, like if today's workshop goes well, I have my own way of rewarding myself. I'll cook an amazing meal and eat. That, okay, today I did a good job. Okay. Or, sometimes I like to just talk to a friend and tell that, you know what, today I did this workshop today and it was great. And there were some, so many 60 plus students who were listening and I had so much fun. And also I always reward myself in terms of appreciating myself for example, Google Meet. I've always done workshops on Zoom so far. So today I did it on Google Meet and I learned something new today, right? So I always, with excitement like a kid, I'm like, oh my God, I did something new today. Always remember, when was the last time you did something new today? New. And if it is long back, then build that childlike curiosity of doing new things every day. That is a beautiful habit, for rewarding yourself. And it does not affect it actually influences your performance towards your goals, because when you reward yourself, somewhere you have this in your mind that, okay, today if I achieve this and I got myself this, tomorrow I'm going to achieve bigger and I'm going to get something bigger. And it is not coming from a space of, if I don't do, then I'm a failure. It's never from that space. It's just like that childlike enthusiasm of getting gifts. So I, as a future HR, I would want to accomplish a certain goal. Though I take necessary steps from my end, I would face some challenges from the external environment, which is not under my control. In that case, how do I overcome those limitations? Well, that's a very beautiful question. See, when it is external, right? For example, COVID happened, okay? COVID happened, colleges were doing online education. We are not going to college, we're not meeting our friends. Sometimes it's so boring at home. Sometimes it's, very taxing sitting inside 4 walls. And it was a situation which was not in anybody's control, right? But in those moments, you have to use your creativity. You have to use your creativity and, especially things of art. Things of art make your mind more focused. When you sit and do a sketch or doodling or drawing or a painting, you don't have to be an expert at that. You just have to sometimes sit and draw like a nursery kid, okay? But it just changes the mood. It just changes this whole feeling that, oh, nothing is under my control. Nothing is under my control, but I can be in charge. A small example if I give, traffic traffic in a city. In a big city, there's a lot of traffic. And if I leave my house at 7 a.m., I reach 8 a.m. to my workplace. And it's crazy traffic in that 1 hour. Is the traffic in my control? No. I can pass that 1 hour every day cribbing and complaining about, oh my God, this Chennai traffic. And I can go on and on complaining, what kind of drivers on the street? So stupid these people are, blah, blah, blah. I can go on. And that 1 hour of mine every day before work can be so horrible. And every day when I reach work, I'll be like, coming this 1 hour is such a pain. Okay. Or I just start 15 minutes early. Instead of 7, I start, say, 6:45. I have to reach at 8 o'clock. And I put on music in my car. And I'm listening to music, my favorite playlist. When the traffic is there also, I'm just listening to music. And I'm like, yeah, I'm quite ahead of time. I still have 15 minutes. I'll reach off by 7:45. Not a big deal. Now, every day, how is my workplace and my mood going to be? The tone of the day itself is going to be so happy and so joyful, so light. So then that traffic was anyways not in my control, but what was in my control is my emotions, the way I look at life, the approach that I have towards everything. I can change that always. And that's called attitude. So there is knowledge, there is skills, there is attitude. We can change our attitude. And they say 90% of the things that happen to you are not because, because of the events. It's because the way you responded to them. Okay, so basically, our response towards things can change. Event plus response is equal to outcome. I cannot change events, but I can change the outcome by changing my response towards this event, which is external. So that's the quote of Jack Canfield. He's an amazing writer. He's written books like Success Principles, How to Get from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. I read all these books and I feel like super motivated. So yeah, that's one more thing. Lack of upgrade in achieving the goals, sometimes it does impact, sometimes it demotivates us that, oh my God, I wrote this, but I couldn't achieve it. Yet, don't make that a restricting factor, I would say. Even if you can't achieve, say, first 3 months didn't achieve even one goal. I wrote 3 things, I didn't achieve anything. Never mind. Change. See what you have to change. See what strategy you have to change. See whether what you wrote was in alignment with who you are. Is it congruent to your identity, what you think about you? So then you have to do a little bit of like how we do twisting and turning in what goals we have written. And then write new goals or the same goals in a different way. Then possibly second time onwards, we will not fail. Actually, it's not even fail. It's about, it won't be incomplete. I don't even call anything that I couldn't do as a failure. It's just, this thing didn't work for me. Okay, I'll choose something different.
Ma'am, I think that's all the questions we have. Can we proceed with the vote of thanks?
Sure.
And now I call upon Ms. Priyanka to deliver the vote of thanks.
Before a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. I, Priyanka of first year MA HRM, take this wonderful opportunity to thank our esteemed speaker, Ms. Bandana Jhabbar, for sharing a valuable insights and knowledge on topic goal setting. I would like to share few key takeaways from today's session. Process of attaining goal should match with one's interest and ethics. Identifying personal values and beliefs aids in setting goals. Writing goals provide vision and motivation. We, the future HR, would really work on the understanding provided by lively speaker. Sharing is caring is an age-old proverb. True to this thought, I would like to thank the pillar of our PG Department of MA HRM, HOD Dr. NC Martin for arranging this webinar and Professor Mrs. Neha for her support to organize this webinar, providing us with an enlightening tool to the academic arena of HR. Finally, I extend my gratitude to participants from various professions and students. Kindly fill up the feedback form which is provided in chat below with your name and email ID. Stay safe, stay vaccinated. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Priyanka. And I also would like to thank all the participants and your HOD, Mr. Martin. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to share what I love to share any which way with all students. And I would love some of you students to come and tell me after 3 months that we have achieved certain goals.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session we had. So you made a very clear view on how to set a goal and how to attain it, and a very briefly, and it was very easy for understanding our students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a great session.
Thank you, Bhagya.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for listening and taking out the time.
It is our pleasure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.